Hey guys, this is Raw Butter again. Welcome to part 2 of our little Pneumag tutorial. Today we're going to prepare the frame for all the little parts that we're going to put inside of it. The basic idea is that the piston needs to go in there. Okay, this valve has to fit in there, and you can see it's a pretty tight squeeze, so we're going to have to do a couple little modifications to make all of this work. Okay. But first things first, we gotta strip off everything from the frame. We're going to be making lots of metal dust, and we don't want to get that into the cracks of everything. Okay, obviously take off your grips and your screws first. Then we need to take off the trigger. The trigger is held in place by a tension pin, I think it's called. That's fatter on one side than the other. Usually the fat side is on the left, so we want to take our center punch, which is here, and we're going to push from the right side and then go through the left. You can just put this down, pop it there, and it should pop right out. Okay, and then you can take out the trigger. If you don't have a center punch, I mean, they're $5. You really should get one, but if you don't have one, you can get away with just a hammer and a nail, kind of tapping it out. That works too. Okay, make sure that you save all these parts, put them in a little plastic baggie or something. Remember, see how the tension pin, one side is definitely bigger than the other. It has these little grooves. That's the side that you want to put on the left. Okay. Then we're also going to need to take out the safety, and this is done by, there's a little set screw here that we need to take out, and you want to be careful here because there's a spring. Ooh, there's a spring behind the set screw, and then there is also a tiny little ball bearing. Whew. And I'm not going to even put it down because my bench is at an angle, but that little ball bearing and that little tiny spring were inside of the safety. So don't lose those because those are important. I'm going to put all these guys into a little thing here. And I'm just going to hold on to them for later. Okay. Then we have to figure out, like I said, this is not going to fit inside of here with this big center bracket. That's kind of a problem. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our Dremel or your rotozip or whatever. This is where the cutting wheel comes in really handy, and we're going to try to cut this out. Now you're going to notice that this is a little bit tricky. So we're going to have to make one cut here. Okay, and it's not going to go the whole way through because this wheel isn't thicker than the frame. So we're going to have to make one cut here, and then we're going to have to make another cut here, and then a third cut here, and it's going to have to be kind of at an angle because we can't come in from this side or else we're going to hit the trigger guard. So we're going to make another cut here, and it's going to be kind of at an angle, and then do another cut here, and it's going to kind of be at an angle, and then it's going to be very messy at that point. But the basic meat is going to be out of the center, and then we're going to just take our file and just kind of go through and go back and forth and clean it up so it's nice, and we want to get as much of this center bracket out as possible. Okay, obviously if you have a drill press, this would be easier. You can, if you have a drill press and if you're really handy, you can take a drill and you can drill right through right there, and then do another drill right through there, and that will just kind of remove a whole lot of meat out of that center point, and then you can take it off a little bit easier. You can also use a hacksaw. You take the hacksaw blade off, you put it through, you put it back on the thing, and then you go back and forth, and you can do it that way. There's lots of different ways that you can do it. Just be careful. You don't want to mess up the frame. Some of this is going to be hidden. Once we have the grips on, it's going to be covering most of this, but you definitely don't want to mess up anything on the back, anything up in here that's going to leave marks and kind of decrease the value of the thing. You want it to be nice and clean as possible. Okay. What else was I going to say? I was going to say something else. I forget. Oh yeah, the cutting wheel. Besides the cutting wheel hitting this, you can also, if you're not careful, if you're cutting through this way, the cutting wheel, the little shaft can rub up against the frame and cause issues as well, and that's something you don't want to have happen. What I usually do is I take some electrical tape and I wrap the shaft a couple of times with electrical tape, so if I do accidentally touch the frame, I'm not going to nick it up or rub off the ano. Okay, so that's what we're going to do with this, is we're going to cut off this part and then file it down so it's nice and done, and I'll show you that in the next video. While we're at it, we also need to take the clevis off of the sear, okay? This is really easily done. You just have to, one side of the sear is riveted in place and the other side is just loose. So we want to just grab the riveted side and gently pull and maybe twist a little bit, and it just pops right off. Okay, be gentle. You don't want to pull too hard because I have broken these little arms before. And then you have to buy a new one, and I think they're 10 or 12 bucks or something like that. So try not to do that. But we'll put that aside for later. And then yeah, I'm not going to actually show you guys the cutting process because that's going to take me a while, and I'm sure you can figure it out on your own. Just take your time, be careful, and have fun.